Hello, welcome to my next video. In this video we start with the fuel tank, put it in place. We put the hose and then we open the valve, and of course we have one bolt with a dome nut on the front. Tighten this one up, and then it's just a 12mm bolt at the back. Once we tighten this one, we have the overflow tube, which is right there, and we put the clip with the help of the pliers, put it in place, and that's it. The next thing I'll try to do is to put my front fender. I didn't do anything about the front fender, I just washed it, polished it a bit at the end once I put it on, and that was it. Nothing more to do. It has a bit of scuffs and marks, but that was good enough for me. So it takes quite of an effort to put the fender, and it has quite a few inconveniently put bolts, but it was all good in the end. Don't forget to put the brake hoses security bolts on the sides of the fork, otherwise they're going to be flapping around, they're going to be damaged. Tighten them in place, and of course we do the same thing on the other side. I'm wearing my shorts. It's quite hot at the moment in Melbourne, Australia. Not many hot days, unfortunately, this summer. The next step is to put the Sprocket chain cover, which accommodates the slave clutch cylinder as well. Now, the first thing you need to remember about these parts, that they have a lot of bolts to hold them in place, is to put all the bolts there by hand or with the help of a screwdriver or a socket. Put them in place, make sure they all have a grip on the thread, but do not torque them. You'll only torque them and tighten them only when you are absolutely sure that every single one of them is in place. Then you can tighten them up. That's perfectly fine, because if you don't and you start tightening each one individually and then try to put the next one, the parts might be misaligned and one of the bolts or more won't be in place. And once we finish with that, the next step is to put the slave clutch cylinder, which is that black thing in the center of the screen, this one. But before we do that, it's a good idea to put some grease right in there, in between the rod and the piston of the slave cylinder, just to lubricate the surface for the next hundreds, if not thousands times that we press the clutch. And it holds in place by 3 bolts, one of which holds it's a long one that holds the sprocket cover as well. And that's the one. It's a long one that goes all the way to the crankcase. And last for the engine compartment to do is to put the shift lever. You remove the bolt, and that gap over there on the shift lever, you must previously have put a mark on the axle, and you align that gap with the axle. And then you put back on the bolt, tighten it up, and you're good to go. That's all you need to do. Okay, today we're gonna do a bit of polishing on the exhaust. It's an aftermarket, which I don't even know what kind of brand is it. It has a few scuffs and marks, which I can't do much about it. That's really bad. But I wanted to make it look as shiny as it can. It's an aluminum silencer. So what I'm going to use some brushes. I have already attached one here on the drill. And I'm going to use some compounds. Well, actually I'm going to be using that compound only, because that's the white. They're all good for aluminum. The black one is to take the big scuffs and marks. It's to remove material. The brown is to remove but not as much material and to polish a bit. And the white one is to actually polish the aluminum. Remember, when you use these brushes, if that goes on that, it will remain on that to the rest of his lifespan. You cannot put a black compound on a brush and then use the same brush with, let's say, brown or white or the blue or the green compound. each brush, it starts and finishes always with the same compound. You want to use a different compound, you have to use a different brush. That's it. So that being said, let's try to do some work here. Every now and then just a bit compound. And this is all I could do for the moment. There's a lot of scuffs, deep marks. Well, so it's not the best, but I ordered already one original from Japan, unknown when it's coming. So for the moment I'll put this one. I just want to shine it up a bit to look a bit more presentable. Good job. The only problem is deep scuffs and marks, which I can't do really anything about it. I maybe could if I involved a bit more with it, but since I'm going to replace it, I'm not going to bother too much. Let's put it on. And I was charging the battery these days with the trickle charger that I have for my Suzuki Bergman. Yeah, that's the setup of my garage. It's pretty bad. It's all over the place at the moment. Anyway, so I was charging the battery in order to start the motorcycle, and now it's going to be the first start ever since I switched off the engine and disassemble the motorcycle in order to recondition everything. So let's see if it's gonna start. So far so good. My gimbal is playing a bit. Yes! Yes, it's working. Mind you, there's no exhaust. And it's absolutely cold. Oh. Working. It's running. Hopefully for many years. Beauty.